Hi, I'm Jeff Stone, host of Downsizing and Relocation for Boomers and Seniors. Uh, Thank you for attending today's podcast on Capture and Service the 50 plus market with Douglas Elliman Relocation, Long Island. And our special guest speaker today is Janet Manno, Relocation Director of Douglas Elliman Real Estate. Welcome to the show, Janet.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for agreeing to pull the covers off of Relocation Services to let others know what's going on, why they should choose Elliman, and so hopefully we'll get a little better insight for attendees and for the public that will look at the recording, listen to the recording later on. And by the way, this will be on the Douglas Elliman's iTunes platform. So if you wanted to see it there as well, you can. All right, well, on to the schedule here. Janet, tell me a little bit about yourself and the history in your real estate industry.
I'm 37 years licensed as a broker. I'm with Douglas Elliman 35 years. When I started with Douglas Elliman, there was only 300 agents and 12 offices. So I've seen the tremendous amount of growth Douglas Elliman has gone through. I've seen a lot of changes, and I've seen the progress and the forward thinking with the company. I came into real estate. It was a family business. My dad had a real estate company out in Bayport, and I was 19 years old, and he suggested I get my license. And that's how it all began. He had a little bit more foresight than I did.
Wow, 35 years with Douglas Elliman Real Estate. And when you started, it was 300 agents, 12 offices in Long Island, and boy, you've come a long way. So what makes your position unique to other real estate companies?
Well, many real estate companies don't have a relocation department or even a relocation director. And what the relocation director's job is really to kind of work behind the scenes, make sure every move that they're involved with goes smoothly, and really just a second voice. So if they have a question, they can't reach a specialist they're working with, I'm always behind the scenes that they can always reach out to me too. I consider myself a little bit of quality control. Douglas Elliman as a relocation department works with we do quite a bit of business every year. We work with not only Fortune 200, but 500 companies. And we are normally the first broker, if not the second broker, brought in on any group move, which means we're able to, when Simple Technology came in, we rented buses and we showed the transferees all their information. When companies are moving out, we also assist. And we kind of give a guideline to anybody that's really looking to move, what they should be, their expectations should be all along the way, so they're not surprised at any turn on the relocation. So as before, I'm unique because a lot of companies don't have it, and it's another service that Douglas Elliman can offer to make us a one-stop shop.
Well, that's great because you offer that white glove service, and that's very important. People feel very comfortable in knowing from beginning to end what is involved, and you explain that quite well, or will also as we go on. So what is normally the time frame to sell and purchase if you're scaling down or making a personal move or retiring?
It's normally, it could be as long as 2 or 3 years, because people don't even, most of them say, I want to move to Florida, I want to move to North Carolina. They don't have a place in mind. They don't have their house sold yet. So they have to do a little background search. So it could take as long as, some people say, oh my God, I can't believe it's already 3 years I've been working to do this. But it is a lifestyle change. So you have to keep that in mind, and you have to always remember it could take a little bit longer. So if you feel you're at the 2.5-year mark and it's been, just remember there are other people that are going through it as well. And it does take a little bit longer because you're selling a house that could be 35, 40 years you're in it. And then you're buying a brand new house in a community. So it does take quite a bit of time.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, one of my clients in Port Washington, she was 2 years out on moving. And part of it was fear, not knowing where to go. And we invited the adult children over, and they came from across the country. We all sat in the living room, all of us. And we decided that about 1.5 years, she would make the move. But first we had to get the house prepped, staged for sale. And we did that. And as soon as that process was taking off, the homeowner, she was an older homeowner, couldn't wait to get out of town. That was it. She was done. And a lot of the times it starts up here in the brain. That's what holds us back sometimes, because we do offer many services, which we'll go into in a little bit.
Mhm.
So what do you need? Who do you need to assist with the move? That's from beginning to end.
There's going to be many, many different people involved in your move. You may not think about it, but initially you want a realtor. Not only do you want a realtor where you're moving to, so they can send you some sample listings, get an idea of what your expectations could be. Because somebody could say, I want to be on the water, I want a single family home, but they get this condo that's amazing. It's got a garage, and all of a sudden now they're changing. Maybe we don't want a single family home. So you're going to need a realtor on wherever you're moving to start sending you some listings, give you an idea of what your expectations and how you can meet them. You're going to need a realtor on this end as well when they're listing and selling a house, because you want to know how to get it market ready. Most people do have quite a bit of belongings that they've gathered during the years. I know personally myself, I'm in my house 31 years. And I tell my girls all the time, it's going to be quite a challenge for them if I don't move before. But you're also going to need, with that, you're going to need tag sale companies. You're going to need somebody to help you go through. Either you're going to donate, throw out, pack, or have a tag sale and get rid of. So there's really 4 categories. So you're going to need a tag sale. With some of that stuff that you're getting removed, you're going to need a junk removal company or some kind of company that's going to come in and be able to take whatever you don't want. It's very easy nowadays, whereas before you'd have to, get someone in, give you an estimate. And nowadays you just point at which one gone and it disappears. There's several companies we presently work with in Long Island, but you're going to need a junk removal company. You could need a contractor. And the reason why you need a contractor, because every township now has changed their rules a little bit. So you might have a deck that's 10 by 10 that should be 10 by 12 now, or 10 by 8. So you might need a contractor to be able to help you get your house market ready as well, so it meets all the codes of the town you're living in. And with that, you might need an expediter. You might have done some kind of construction interior that the town didn't know about, but now when you're selling it, you're looking at a bathroom that has no CO. You're going to need movers as well. And you need a mortgage company, and a mortgage company to give you an idea of what your expectations once you've sold, what you can afford. All those professionals are going to help you through this process. A lot of people say, oh, I'll pack by myself, or I'll do this, or I'll do that. And you find that these professionals, that's what they do for a living. You could pack and it could take you 4 days, where a professional is going to come in and take 3 or 4 hours. And that guarantees that your dishes, your furniture, your mirrors, all your fragile items are going to wind up on the other side with no problems. So you do need quite a bit of professionals in order to make the move. And with our network, we have that ability to be able to recommend those people.
That's great. I know as a seniors real estate specialist myself, I've offered the services of senior move managers. And I call them like the field marshals of the whole deal, because they will organize for you. They will declutter for you, depersonalize, pack things up. Work with the moving company, work with any contractors. They do everything from A to Z, and also wherever you're going, they'll connect with another, say, senior move manager and pass you off to them so that they can tuck you into home and take care of your belongings. I find that's very important too. Working with all of these specialists, and I have interviewed all of these and then some on these podcasts, which is on the Elliman's iTunes platform. And it really takes the stress level way down to a manageable area for folks, because a lot of the times it's fear driven. They're filled with anxiety and stress. When they start to declutter, they don't realize how much stuff they've accrued over the years, and what do I do with all this stuff? Before you know it, they get overwhelmed and they put it off for a while. So, bringing in these professionals is a big deal. I myself will sit down with the contractor and the homeowner and perhaps their adult children. We'll go over everything. I'll introduce the contractor I recommended and work it that way. Because again, working with older homeowners, some of them are little shy, perhaps fearful. You have to explain things more. You have to walk through, be patient with them a lot more. So that's all part of the deal of working with the 50 plus homeowner. Now,
It also strengthens what you're telling them, because
right.
in their head, they might think, maybe I shouldn't be doing this, maybe I should, and then they speak with you and you back up what they're thinking.
Right.
And then they have a sound decision now that they've made because Jeff also had recommended you do that. So
Right.
a lot of the times you're kind of more of a social worker as well as a psychologist also, as the agent, because like you said, if you're only looking at a stress drop, the only thing above relocation is death and divorce. So it is a very stressful time, whether they're even moving to a new lifestyle, it's still a stressful time for them.
Right. Now, you recommend realtors who are experts in their own right, and you're confident in their skills in order to help the individual that is considering relocation. And relocation is a big deal. A lot of the times, people don't know where to go. They don't know what's available, and that a lot of the times that's where they get stuck. They say there's no place for me, and there's always a place for you. But with relocation, if you wanted to go to Florida, say they call up Douglas Elliman Relocation Services and they say, Ms. Manno, I'm planning to go down to say Fort Lauderdale in Florida. How do I hook up with somebody down there? What's the process there? How do you go about that with the homeowner?
It's exactly how to find us. So, I mean, it's as simple as going to our website. You can put relocation in. You can, always reach out to you. I know you have quite a bit going on and you do have the network for the seniors. But Douglas Elliman itself is no stranger to real estate. We have over 100 years of real estate. We're founded on core values and integrity. We have a lot of progressive thinking. Our owners actually watch the trends. And if you notice, if you look at Douglas Elliman as its footprint got bigger and bigger, we followed where our buyers and sellers were coming from. So if somebody was coming or moving to Florida, that's where we opened up because we want to make sure that the network is there to support them throughout the whole entire move, from New York to Florida, from California to Texas. So we have an internal network of over 7,000 agents that can help with buyers and sellers, which is very, very important, because when we're on both sides of the transaction, when we're helping, it's almost like you have a family member now. It's not a stranger that you just picked out of a book or an agent you got up next on the upboard. It's a Douglas Elliman network that actually works and communicates very well and has the same a lot of the time, same of the vendors we're using. We're also placed in 80 marketplaces. So a lot of the times people nowadays, it used to be, the rule was kind of you were ready to retire and you moved to Florida. But now people are considering Arizona, they're considering Texas, they're considering New England areas like Connecticut, they're considering the North Fork. So we are strategically placed in all those markets to make sure that we can help you. We have a global reach as well, which we're starting to see, now that we're lifting from the pandemic, people are considering not just locally, but internationally, and we can help them there too. We have 488 offices across 57 countries and 20,000 associates through Knight Frank that we are affiliated with that can help them on a global basis as well, because some people are not just staying in the States. They might consider retiring, going back to where they came from. If they moved here and then want to, ready to retire and go back to family. So we're also international as well. And we have niche specialists as well. Similar to yourself, you do the senior networks. We have people that do residential and resale. We have people that do new developments. We have commercial and retail, because a lot of the times when you're moving, you might also be having a business that you need to also sell. So we have commercial and retail that is part of our network. We have property management, because some people will say, you know what, I want to go down to Florida and only rent for the first 6 months, and I'm not sure if I want to sell my house. So in part of our metropolitan areas, we have property management. We handle over 60,000 units. We have a mortgage service. And we also have a title company to make sure that when you're ready to close, there are no scars on your titles. Our over 50 market has been around quite a bit lately, because we're finding that 50% of all Northeast sellers were 50% of all North sellers and 30% of all Northeast buyers are over 50 years old. So this market is tremendous. It's like I said, 50% of all Northeast sellers are over 50. And 37% of buyers are over 50. So that's a big market we're looking at, and we're focusing on it. Our Elliman division, we normally kind of, as we find the pieces we need, if there is something we're missing, we pull that in. We had recently just somebody who wanted to move their pet, and they didn't know where to turn, but because of our network, we were able to get somebody to talk to them and how they transport a pet. So we continue to work in many of the different areas, but over 55 seems to be quite a bit of a focus right now because we're looking at a lot of baby boomers who are making changes. And as I mentioned before, the pandemic has changed a lot of people's thought process. I'm sure you're seeing that as well.
Right. Now, with regards to the homeowner having an interest in Florida, let's just say instead of Fort Lauderdale, it's Naples, which is our new office down there,
Mhm.
newest office, or St. Pete. Now, how would you introduce a realtor from one of those two offices to the homeowner that's looking to really relocate down there? How would you introduce them to the homeowner?
Well, normally, as I mentioned, I'm quality control. For the first thing I would do is just have a conversation with the homeowner initially to see what their wants and needs are.
Right.
And I would match up a specialist with them down there. When I speak with the specialist, I will share their needs as well. So the
Okay.
first time they actually get to speak with that specialist, they already have a little bit of idea of what they're looking for and might say, hey, I sent you 3 or 4 sample listings, and that's how I kind of introduce. I always, though, once I've connected with the agent or the specialist, I then send an email to that seller as well, or the buyer down to Florida. He's going to be a buyer in Florida, and let him know, this is the name of the specialist. It has come from my recommendation. So they don't say, because as soon as you put your house on the market, everyone calls, hey, can I help you? Can I help you move this and do that? So they know it came from yourself or myself. I'll introduce them and say, Jeff Stone had asked me to reach out to you. Here's the name of the specialist in our Florida market that will be able to assist you. And please always feel free to reach out to me. I will be behind the scenes working to make sure everything goes smoothly.
No, that's great. I know myself, I'm a resort and second property specialist as well. And if people are going to go down to whether the Carolinas or Florida, I may recommend, just go down for a short stay, maybe a couple of weeks, turn it into a vacation, a discovery tour, and look at the places of interest. Look at the towns, drive around the town, see what amenities they have, familiarize yourself with what's going on, and really just get a taste of it. And you may want to try another part of Florida. I know when I went down to Florida, I landed in Jacksonville, went to St. Augustine, stayed there for a little bit, traveled all the way down to Fort Lauderdale, and I stopped and saw homeowners that have made that decision to downsize and relocate from Long Island. And I said, how did you do it? And how was it for you? And they said it was easy. They didn't rent for a year. Why rent? You go down for a week's vacation and then do another week's vacation. Some of these communities, new built communities, will have a 3-day discovery tour, perhaps. Either way, just check it out briefly and you get to see what is going on. And for me, seeing trees, palm trees, where they started, where they ended with the palmettos and the temperature, the taxes, the property taxes, everything was different. But again, these realtors in the areas that you choose to go to, they'll send you all that information with regards to taxes and expected monthly maintenance or charges that you may incur, property taxes, homeowners insurance, all that, flood insurance perhaps, and there's a lot to it. But again, a good realtor in these locations are worth their weight in gold. That's the way I see it. And that's a great service you provide there. As for settling in, what are the 3 best places or pieces of advice you can give someone when they're settling in?
As far as settling in goes, I know there's a lot of people have, different priorities, but I can always tell you the best thing you can do is, the first thing I recommend is create a move day suitcase. And the reason I say that is because most people have their boxes packed, and their soap, their tissues, their dish towels, all are in packed boxes. If you take 1 or 2 of each little item that you might need, dish soap, toothpaste, your toothbrush, at least you feel at home already. When you open that suitcase, you have that familiar bath towel, you have that familiar washcloth or something. So that's the first thing I do, is you set aside a few outfits, a dish towel, sheets, and some bathroom essentials, just so you have everything at your fingertips and you don't have to start digging through boxes. Especially if you're tired, you just landed, you want to wash up a little bit, you open up your suitcase and everything's right there. The other thing is be patient. I find myself, the older I get, I lose my patience a little bit more. When I was younger, I had patience, but you have to be patient with yourself and with others, because it's only going to add more stress onto you if you're not. Moving, especially hard for seniors, leaving their home they've spent decades in. I have a mom right now, 80 years old. Every week we talk about getting her house on the market. And another week goes past and she's just not ready yet. And I know it's a hard decision. I mean, you have a lot of emotional ties to those homes. So just, be patient with yourself and be patient with others. It'll all work out. And I'm a firm believer, and I always say this: if it's meant to be, it's going to happen. And if it's not meant to be, you'll find what is meant to be. And the last thing is, remember, it's okay to be sad about moving out of your home. You're parting with things that have been part of you for a long time. The goal is not to get rid of everything, but to simplify your life and make the room for a new life. You're moving to maybe a condo, you're moving to a waterfront house, you're moving to a house with the community that you never had before. This should be a happy time in your life when you're starting a new chapter. You're going to have new adventures, and you're going to enjoy the little things, create memories in your new life. So they always say the little things turn out to be really the big things in life. When you think, the little moment when we walk through the front door for the first time of our home, like I said, it's maybe a little thing now, but then all of a sudden you're going to remember, 20 years from now, remember that first day we walked into our home? We opened that door and, the light that shined through that window. So, it's okay to be sad, but don't forget, you're going to have a great new life that you're focusing on. So, and at every step, there's always going to be somebody to help you through that process.
Yeah. I know I've had people relocate, and I'm glad you mentioned places such as the North Fork, Long Island, or have you. When you relocate, it's not always to a warm weather state or southwestern state like Arizona, New Mexico. It could be right around the block from you. You're relocating to another section of town. You're relocating to the North Fork, South Fork of Long Island. It's I wouldn't say downsizing, it's right sizing your life and for your current lifestyle needs. And I know I've had people move all the way out to East Marion. All right. And I'm dealing with an older couple. They're coming from inside Queens to my town of Port Washington, from a 4-bedroom townhome to a 2-bedroom co-op, because the number one reason is that they wanted to be close to their son, and their son, hold on. I'm sorry, there was the doorbell. That's usually probably Amazon or somebody like that, but that's okay. But in any case, I had them come here to be close to their son. Their son is the one that recommended my services because I work with older folks, and he trusted me. And the gentleman is a real estate attorney, which meant a lot for me. I've used his services in the past. But, I had hosted a radio show a number of years ago, for a year and a half on WHLI radio. It was called The Senior Moment. And it was working with boomers and seniors. And it was specific to that demographic, that age grouping, with regards to relocation and downsizing services. And we had, again, all these professionals you mentioned towards the end on the show, talking about what they do, what they provide. And it's incredible that there are people like this that do this type of service. I never thought about these people when I first started. I said, I didn't know much of anything. I knew of a reverse mortgage, what it is. But again, I didn't know anyone. My mother needed it. But either case, that's for age in place or living in place, as I call it. But for relocation services, this is very important, and to connect with the right company to offer you the right services. And that's the relocation department here at Elliman. And you can refer them literally anywhere, international, if you wanted to do that as well. And with all the contacts you have and the professionals that you can refer to these homeowners, it's a great service. It really is. It's peace of mind for someone looking to relocate. And a lot of times, like you said, it's a process. It may not be next month, 3 months from now. It could be next year, 2 years from now. I met a gentleman last night at a function. He was in Hassett. He said, I'm 2 years out. I said, well, this is what I do. And we talked a little bit, and I said, let's just continue to talk. And that's how I work my business. And that's how you establish trust with someone. They get to know you a little bit. You know, you're not just from XYZ company, but somebody you can speak with. And I'm sure that the realtor you recommend, Janet, is someone that would establish that type of connection, because this is the age group that is likes to trust someone before they do business with. They want to know that you can do the job for them, but they also need their hand held at times, or expert advice and suggestions. So
You also find with social media, they do come a little bit with a little bit of knowledge, but a lot of the times you're going to find social media gives them a tidbit, but not the full story.
right,
So when they come to an Elliman agent or yourself and they'll ask you a question and they'll say, I heard this X, Y, and Z. And then you say, well, also X, Y, and Z, but it has to include A, B, and C. So normally you kind of finish the sentences with, because a lot of people tend to throw the little bit of bait out to say, hey, this is what you can experience. But with Elliman, there are so many niche markets this generation, the over 50, they did well with their houses. They bought the Levittown houses for $7,000-$10,000. So they are walking away with 300, 400, 600, 500, 600,000. So they might even need a specialist to do a 1031 exchange for them.
right,
We have those specialists.
right,
There are many companies, you walk into some companies and ask about a 1031 exchange and everyone looks at you like, I have no idea what you're doing. But when you're talking about tax ramifications and going to an area which is more affordable than New York or Long Island, you want those specialists in place. You want those people to tell you, hey, you know what, the attorney's saying, you know what, let's do this contract, make sure you get an engineer's report. Because in Florida, it's 30 days and you're closed. You want to make sure that when you do that contract, you have a specialist behind you that's going to say, don't worry about this. Here's the 3 comps to show it's going to appraise. So there's a lot more to, just working with another realtor. And when somebody has a niche market like you do, they tend to put a little bit more heart and soul into it. They're not in it for for the quick deal. They're in it to build that relationship, to build that friendship, and to build that rapport, to make that buyer or seller say, oh my God, that was an amazing experience I've had with Jeff, with Douglas Elliman. I would recommend them highly, because we want that client for life. We want that person to recommend their kids, their family, because most of the time the Douglas Elliman agents you're dealing with are your family and friends. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I'll go someplace and they'll say, oh, you're with Douglas Elliman? Do you know so-and-so? And I do, because I've been with the company so long. But once again, Douglas Elliman has a little bit more in their toolbox than most other companies.
right. Now, a homeowner may decide, instead of, say, calling relocation at Elliman, they may decide to call up Marilyn Perla, the manager of the Dix Hills office, and ask for relocation help. So Marilyn, you're welcome to chime in if you'd like.
I'm sorry, I ran out. My secretary at the front desk just got a call that her dog is dying and she's hysterical, so I apologize. Janet, you know how that goes, don't you?
Yes.
Only too
Well.
well. She brought it for a visit and she's just hysterical. So anyhow, I had to take care of it. If somebody calls up and wants to relocate, in other words, if we have a listing and they want to relocate to Naples, because now we have an office there, well, the agent says to me, who do we pick for the Naples, we're in Naples, how do I know who to pick? I would call Janet up and ask her suggestion of who she would think would be the right fit for the client. Basically, that would be it. Once it's out of state, I can see to Janet to ask her, because she has the
Right.
relationships with the agents and she knows who's the right fit.
Yeah, we point to Janet. That's what we
All
do.
roads point to Janet.
Because we do have a team in place. It's not, like I said, it's not the next person on the upboard, which is nice. It's somebody that has tried and true, has worked with us before, knows time is valuable, knows they're working with somebody that might not be in their state. So they might have to drip on them. They might have to send them some sample listings for a year or so. I mean, I just got a listing today. The transfer is not moving till July of 2022. So that's a long time for an agent. And you know what? And I have to tell it all the time, there's a way of keeping in touch. They said you have to speak with somebody 36 times a year for them to consider your broker, your banker, whoever it is. And a lot of agents or a lot of people will say, wow, 36 times a year is a lot. But we have change of seasons. We have 4 quarters of a market that we have this great marketing report we put out. So if you're thinking about selling or buying a house, the marketing report alone will give you an idea of how a market is performing. So there are definitely ways to kind of drip on someone constantly, you know, that packet of seed that you send out and say, you know, I'd love to grow and become your realtor. That might help them, you know, put that curb appeal in the spring when they're looking to, you know, get their house ready for the market. They might plant some seeds and have some pretty flowers. So there's always a way to touch base. There's holidays, there's anniversaries. I'm a big person. Anybody who has moved that I've ever helped, on their anniversary, I just send them a card. Hey, congratulations. This is your 10th year in your house. This is your 12th year in your house. Because I want them to know I remember those special dates. And our agents remember those special dates. And that's what my team does. They put those special little tiny touches that not many companies will. Because once again, it's not always about that one deal. It's about building that rapport and making sure we're doing everything we can. So when that transferee or that homeowner makes a decision to move, they don't say, God, Douglas Elliman talked me into this terrible house. They say, what a great experience. I love my home. I looked at 20 neighborhoods before I bought this home, and I'm 100% sure this is what I want to make an offer on.
Exactly. I know.
Back to anniversary. I have a studio session going on at 2 o'clock, but that helps also keeping in contact with people because you could put all the dates, all the important dates in. And doesn't it automate different messages, I believe?
Yes.
I know the other managers online here, Eileen and Deneen, if you guys have anything to ask of Janet or maybe just a statement, a comment or something like that, feel free to do so. We welcome all attendees to put in the chat box or to unmute yourself and go at it. You know, because again, this is supposed to be interactive. It's there for you to ask questions of Relocation Director Janet Manno, and the more you know, the better you're going to be when it's your time to relocate. And so I feel very proud and, you know, very happy too, confident of Relocation Services at Douglas Elliman, knowing that there are good people behind it, that the services provided from realtors to senior move managers are at hand should you need them, and somebody who's willing to work with you even if you're 2 years out on the move. It's, to me, that's a lot. That says a lot. You just don't talk with someone and then drop them, call me back when you're ready. No, you don't. You offer your services from first contact all the way through to your list, and then again, update as much as necessary. That's always been a problem with homeowners, that my realtor never spoke with me or connected with me or what have you. And it couldn't be further from the truth with Douglas Elliman. I know I haven't been with Douglas Elliman for that long. I guess it's coming up on 2 years for me with other brokerages. But, you know, again, I came to Douglas Elliman because they understood what I wanted to do, and that is to help the 50+ market. And Janet, you're in basically in that type of field too. Not everybody, of course, is over 50 who wants to relocate. Sometimes it's somebody Gen X or even a millennial looking to relocate to Texas, Austin, hot town for millennials, you know, or someplace like that. But myself as a realtor, when I go away on vacation, like I mentioned with Florida, I met these people on the East Coast and West Coast. In Arizona, I'm going there for a couple of weeks. I'm going to stay in Sedona for a little while, and I've been there before, but I'm going to be talking with some people out there. And then when I go down to Scottsdale, I'll be talking to some people down there and get a lay of the land and see what the taxes are like. So I investigate on my own. This is what I like doing, you know. And but again, I refer to the professionals such as yourself, Janet. So this way you will have someone already, say in Scottsdale, that you can recommend, and or in Sedona. This is where you have all those contacts. Very important.
David, how are you?
So is there anything else that
it also is a little bit of impulse buying. And by saying that, somebody's on the fence, they're on the fence, and you put them in touch with somebody. It's 6 months down the road. People have been sending them sample listings, and
Right.
all of a sudden they open a magazine up and it's a house they have to have. They found this house, it's beautiful. And that is the motivation. And all of a sudden their whole entire, you see the demeanor changes. I want this house, I have to have this house. So it might be that dripping, that 6-7 months that you've been actually dripping on people, that they finally get something. And like I said, a lot of the times, like, I'm not ready to sell, or I'm ready to sell, but that's not a good offer. And then all of a sudden they get this house and the next day they accept an offer. So that little bit of sending those listings and helps them make the decision on when they're ready to move.
Right. Now, during this time of COVID, people also are hesitant on deciding to place their home in a market, to have people come into their homes. And I know we as realtors are trained to work through COVID as we did last year and this year, especially with the variant. So I'm sure you take something like that into account. You allay the homeowners' fears of contracting this deadly virus. And so, maybe you could shed a little light on your procedures with that to the homeowner.
Yeah, initially, I mean, we do what we found a lot of agents are doing, instead of, doing, showing their house every single day, they have limited showings to certain days during the week, between 2 and 5, and back the appointments up. So the homeowner can be out of their house the whole entire day, or out of the house for 4 hours, and you can get 15 buyers into the house at that time. So that's one of the things. The agents are also very schooled in making sure everything is sanitized, touched, and if they're touching it, they're sanitizing it. It also helps quite a bit with sending those listings, because you're not intruding in their house. You're not opening a brochure. You're just having that information mailed, and they can make that decision on their own. So we don't try to be as high touch as we used to because of COVID. And like I said, the agents have learned how to make sure we're sanitizing, how to show the properties. So it doesn't, a lot of the times we're dealing with, if it's not an over 50 person, it might be someone with a brand new baby, and they still want to sell their house, and they still have to show it. So we'll say, you know what, we'll show you a house from 12 to 4 on Saturday. The whole family can leave. So by the time they come back, the house is sanitized. We have an accepted offer, or we have an offer we're going to be presenting. So we make sure we're very, very cautious when it comes to COVID, because that it's kind of changed the whole entire world, and Douglas Elliman has changed with it.
Yeah. One last thing I'd like to mention. I feel very confident of Douglas Elliman's Relocation Services as a personal concierge. It's something where, if you deal with these big relocation companies, you could not necessarily, but you could get lost in the shuffle. They're not maybe treating you with the same personal level that you are. And that's important to people, because they want someone who can relate to them, somebody who's living on Long Island as well, somebody that they feel comfortable with connecting to down wherever they're going to relocate to, that's set up through your department here on Long Island. And it's very important to me, to any homeowner. To me, it's that personal touch, that white glove service. You can't talk enough about services. Service is the number one thing with a realtor. All right. You don't necessarily have to have a great personality. You don't have to look like Brad Pitt or a lady. I don't want. I don't know. It's a beautiful celebrity star, or act so jovial, what have you, a personality. But somebody who knows their business, somebody who's going to just drop you at the doorstep, somebody who's going to be with you every step of the way. And that's the personal service that I see coming out from Douglas Elliman Relocation. So
especially that nowadays, everybody has a .com. There are so many aggregators out there, sellmyhome.com and sold.com and upnest.com. And those aggregators are not that personal touch. They're, you're going online, you're filling out a form, and those aggregators, those companies are taking that form and handing them over to Douglas Elliman, because they know the service is there. We had a phase community, the Amsterdam at Harborside, which was in Port Washington. we had over 400 listings and we had 400 buyers from that, Amsterdam and Harborside. We're working on something in Comac right now, another phase community. So they look at Douglas Elliman as the experts. And like I said, we're on the ground with boots. You know, we're not the aggregator that's just going to take them. I mean, I'll reach out to one of these companies once they give me a lead and I'll say, hey, you know, I reached out to this person 3 or 4 times and you know what they tell me? We have no personal relationship with them at all. So in Douglas Elliman, the relationship is there. It's the high touch, the making sure everything is, our I's and our T's are crossed, and making sure that the person is 100% on their move. They're not upset with us. They know we've educated them as much as possible. And if we can't find the answers, we will help and find the answers. It could be as silly as, you know, I need to, you know, get my child into a soccer program or a quilting program. You know, there might be a woman who's, you know, wants to be in a quilting program. We'll go out of our way to find out how she can be part of that program.
Right.
So they're more of a high touch. Like I said, the aggregators that people are going on the .com sites, they're taking those leads and they're handing them off to a Douglas Elliman agent, you know. So, you know, why go through that? Why not make sure you get the personal touch from the beginning and reach out to Douglas Elliman at that point?
Right. So in wrapping this up,
Well, I do just want to
yeah.
mention the guideline. You know, there should always be a guideline when you're talking about moving.
Okay.
Because there's going to be a year before you move and 6 months before you move and a week before you move. There's always going to be something to do. And if you're working off of a guideline, you know where you are every point of your move. So, you know, a year from now, you might be looking at realtors, but a week from now, you might be calling all the utility companies to make sure the transfers are taken care of. So once again, I always suggest having a moving guideline because that's going to always give you an idea of exactly where you are in your move. And that's going to help you make sure that you're on goal.
That's important, a guideline, a plan of action. I mean, homeowners need to do things for themselves as long as they're given, say, this list to work off of. And that's great because I like lists. I like a plan of action. I recommend that to my clients. Here's what you can do for this month. This is what you can do 3 months from now. And this way they've got a project and they get it done. And if you leave it open-ended time-wise or no list, then it could go sideways and really fast, you know, really quick, you know. But again, my reasoning for interviewing you, Janet Manno, Director of Douglas Elliman Relocation Long Island, was to, again, provide an overview for the listening audience, for attendees, and to have it recorded and placed on the Douglas Elliman's iTunes platform, also on my YouTube and my Facebook page, Jeff Stone, whatever, Douglas Elliman. And the thing is that people use it as a reference. And trust me when I say that, it's really good to know why Douglas Elliman and not someone else. That to me gives me confidence, knowing that if I went to Douglas Elliman, my relocation needs, everything from soup to nuts, will be taken care of, you know, and that gives me great comfort. I could sleep well at night, you know, if I was making that move. You know, so I want to thank you, Janet. If anybody else has anything to say at this point, you know, you can put it in chat or unmute yourself. If not, then I just want to thank all of you for attending today's podcast on downsizing relocation for boomers and seniors with Janet Manno, Director of Douglas Elliman Relocation Department. It's been wonderful. Janet, thank you so much for attending and being our special guest speaker. And I know this is great, and I expect big things with Douglas Elliman on Long Island. I really do, and elsewhere. So I can't wait, because this is a company that's always growing, always trying to do their best. And to me, that speaks volumes in my book. All right. So in any case, have a nice fall, because now it's fall.
First day of fall.
Summer's over with. That's it. My God, I tell you. So where did it all go? Went very fast. You know, and as soon as it gets colder out there, you know, you may want to think about calling up Janet Manno. I mean, relocating to sunny Florida where it's nice and warm could be a good thing.
Well, the market is cyclical, and I can tell from doing relocation for the years. You know, in May, we see the brides and grooms looking to buy houses.
Yes,
Come September, we see those snowbirds getting ready to make that trip down to, you know, the south, out to, all the way out to the west. So we are seeing it, it's starting. So if there are people thinking about it, you know, hey, I'm thinking about moving, I'm thinking about it, let us start, let us do it. Because like I said, we're going right into, you know, once the fall hits, we consider that snowbird season.
yeah,
You know, January's group move season. So I've watched it year over year. And just to give you some reference, when I started in real estate, interest rates were 21%.
wow,
So yeah, that was a challenge. So the interest rates now, it's a great time to buy. They say there's 1,000 people moving every week to Florida. So Florida is a very hot market right now. We are opening up as quickly as possible in every area. We have an agent now that's starting to head a little bit north and going to start being able to help us in Orlando. We haven't opened an office, but we do have 1 or 2 agents also looking at Orlando, which is a big area, and the Lake Mary area. Our Naples office, like you said, our St. Pete office. So we are growing by leaps and bounds, and we opened another 2 offices in Austin, Texas. So, you know, we are here to help. Douglas Elliman, you know, we are part of you. We're your family, we're your friends. And like I said, I normally don't go many places if there's a group of people that they say, oh, you with Douglas Elliman? Do you know so-and-so? So, you know, turn around, I shake your hand, I'm your neighbor.
well, I think there's gonna be a sizable uptick in relocation requests next year. You know, that's just because of the market we're in,
Mhm.
because of politics, what's going on during the day. I mean, you name it, taxes, monthly expenses, everything is on the rise and unstable, and you just don't know. People would rather go to a place where at least they could, it's a safe refuge from the cold,
Mhm.
to lower their monthly expenses, and to be perhaps near friends or family, or, you know, just not to stay in their own home because it does not fit their current lifestyle needs.
Exactly.
So they have to right size their lives. All right. So with that, Janet, thank you very much. And
Thank you
everybody else
again.
that attended. All right. See you around campus.
Okay, have a great day, everyone, and happy fall.
Take care now. Bye.
Bye-bye.